You're listening to Goof On Radio with Rich Giordano.
My personal belief is that there is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
There has been and is an existing presence, an ET presence. It's not going to make a difference. It's not going to change reality.
I believe, as do the other folks that were on the flight, that when we visually saw it, that it was something not from this world.
Goof On Radio.
You were either in or you were either out, brother.
But the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
Goof On Radio with Rich Giordano.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Goof On Radio.
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
You're listening to Goof On Radio with Rich Giordano.
All right. Welcome to Goof On, everybody. I'm your host, Rich Giordano. It is Sunday morning, midnight 08. All right, we'll say it's Saturday midnight-ish. Welcome to Goof On. It's the midnight special. Heck, why not? Why not? Everybody's always talking about it, but nobody's ever talking about it. The moon. Did we go? It was a topic in the chat room here the other night. And I just saw people, no, the moon, no, we went. I said, yeah, I think we did go. And then I watched this documentary. No, not did we go to the moon. I forget, but it was good. Oh, hold on, I'm pulling it up. And we're going to take a look at it, as well as a lot of other interesting, strange stuff. Here we go. Oh, the moon landing. Stanley Kubrick's greatest film. That's what it was. That's what I watched. So it's really good. It's from that the Y Files. That guy. That channel. He did a really good job on it. I've seen it before a long time ago, but this one Oh, that's interesting. Maybe I'm just confusing it with another. Yeah, he just put this out 2 days ago. It's already got 1.3 million views. It's a good. Yeah, he used it. He used a lot of archive footage and stuff like that, but also from the movie. Did we go to the moon? We will sort of figure that out. Hey, it is the weekend. 9 to 5ers hanging out on a Saturday, Sunday morning. I hope so. I hope you're enjoying your weekend to the max. You stay up late, you eat whatever you want, you get as high as you want. Just don't go mowing lawns or driving tractors at the same time. All over the moon. Hey, let's do a little bit of roll call. Get this shindig on the RODE. Galvin Ho, welcome to the show. Samo, what do you say? How do you be? David Wilcox, hey, good to see you, not Wilcock. Bill, welcome to the show. Intergalactic Angler, welcome to the show. Hey, VFC666 is welcome to the show. Jeanette Angel, a 5 pound, 5 quid super dono at the beginning of the little show. Thanks, Jeanette. You are the angel of GoofOn, a continuing supporter of GoofOn. Mucho gusto, el generoso, madame. Grazie. Grazie. It's a super dono. At midnight-ish. Grazie. Welcome to the show. Jeff Garvey. What do you say? How do you be? Oh, by the way, if you want to help support the show, we survive that way. Super Chat, Super Sticker, PayPal, Cash App. All the links are in the show description. You know what to do. Vitska, welcome to the show. Jeff, again, in case I didn't, welcome. How do you do? Mr. Snyder, Ross, what do you say? Brett S, how do you say, bro? Good to see you so late. Dinkamazi, what do you say, mate? Good to see you. All right, let's get started. If I didn't say your name, the boss. Doesn't mean I don't love you. It means I got a lot of show to do. Paul Galvin, what are you guys doing so late? Welcome to the show. Little Bill's here. We got 2 Bills. That's better than none. We've got Sky Allen, too. Snuck through the door there. Good to see you. And Kelly Lewis, come on down. You're the next contestant on Midnight Special with Solar Marshall, FAP, and Jeff Garvey. Tonight's special guest, Galvin Ho. Yes, Galvin Ho. Has he been to the moon? Bernie Muro has been to the moon. What do you say, Eddie B? I can't believe some of the people that are here. What do you say, Tim? Boy, it's late. You got that right there, Sizzle Chest. We come out swinging for the fences. We're not taking no chances at this hour, bastard. We're going for broke. That's right. I'm wearing the 3rd phase of moon. What is this? Oh, Cosmic Cowboy. Cosmic Cowboy. I don't expect to see 1,000 people here, but if we can get it up to 100, I'd be a little happy. But no, let's keep it quaint. Screw it. It's special. It's for us. Nobody else allowed. Nobody else can come into the show. That's it. Wouldn't it be great if you could lock it? Oh, they should have that feature. Oh, they do. It's called, no, they should do it. Like, you get a certain amount of people and you stop it right when you want. They should have that feature. So a lot of people are talking about the whistleblowers. The funniest person that I've seen, Corey Good. Corey Good is talking about the whistleblowers coming forward. Can you imagine, of all the people to come out and talk about whistleblowers? Well, Corey Good can still grab an audience. It is amazing to me how many people love this guy, flock to him, same as David Wilcock. It's weird. He doesn't have to do anything all year. Puts one video out, 190,000 thumbs up, 4 million views. It's like, why? Why? I don't get it. But hey, let's see why, huh? Maybe Corey Good says things that,
They're going to tell people that...
Bullshit. See, right there, I don't like the way he sounds. I'm joking. He says, all right, here we go. Let's start over.
They're going to tell people that there are different ET races and...
No, they're not. Yeah. You think that's what's going to happen? You think that's what they're going to say? There's going to be different races? Fravor? Grush? Graves in the next congressional hearing. They're not going to say that. So I guess Corey Good's saying this about the next whistleblowers coming up that are supposed to be real whistleblowers, not script readers or... Oh!
At least one of them is a threat. This coming out is a big problem.
All about
not only because it discusses the technical Cold War that's been going on, technological Cold War between Russia, China, and the U.S. over recovered alien technology.
Really? There's a Cold War for recovered alien technology going on? That I didn't know about this. Anybody hear about this? I didn't know about this. Is this being talked about? Are they going to talk about this?
But it's also going to start revealing the infrastructure that's been built since then, just on the military-industrial complex level. Not mentioning all of the stuff that I've talked about on bases and secret space programs. It's going to lead, they're going to talk more about the SDI program under Reagan. Well, that's a bunch of satellites. And these satellites have particle beams and different types of magnetic disruptive weapons that they know interfere with these UFOs, I'll call them. But they also have satellites that project into the Earth's atmosphere these holograms from, everyone's talked about Project Bluebeam. And these holograms would fool anyone. And they can have them up high in the atmosphere, or they can do them low in the lower atmosphere. But it only works in the atmosphere. This holographic technology, they can't make it look like an armada is coming towards us. That would have to be done with AI and other trickery, but the holograms have to be projected down into the atmosphere to work properly.
Has this technology been used before on us?
Yeah.
Who the fuck is this guy? I didn't know there was another guy in there. All of a sudden, so are they going to be on the sauna? Well, yeah, so they are. I'm like, what? I got to start smoking again. This sucks.
Yeah, it's being actively used. There are more and more UFO sightings going on right now, and
no, there aren't. I hate when people say that, especially Corey Good. We don't have more sightings. Where? You seeing them? Anybody? I'm not seeing them. I'm telling you, if there were that many, there would be a lot of them. See, I'm learning the language. I'm learning how to talk in circles. Well, if there's many of them, then there'd be a lot of them, wouldn't there? You see? Oh, I'm getting good at talking like these people now. Hey, don't run around outside or else you're going to be worn out running. No, that doesn't work. Boy, that's not easy being stupid.
Most of those are either human assets or projections. They're used.
Are we really buying any of this? I'm buying it. Do you really think the whistleblowers are going to say this stuff? Well, I've got several aliens, different species, and you ever hear of Project Bluebeam? Well, they've got something new. It's called Anal Probe. They're just calling it what it is. Everybody loves the name. It comes out of the clouds and then it goes right up your anus and you get to see a projection. It's a projection. It shoots out your eyes. You know, if there's going to be an FFAI, a false flag alien invasion, try and keep up. If there's going to be an FFAI, now's the best time to have it. With the war going on over in the Russia, they could just downscope it right into the atmosphere over there and say, look, we're seeing, they could do it and create it. First of all this stuff has to work very well for it to pass, right? Because if they're going to shoot this shit into the atmosphere and create holographic images that are indiscernible between reality and the beam, do it there, because those people have a much broader version of what UFOs might be. And they may start praying to that shit. It could end the war. Imagine. They try and create an alien invasion and it stops the war over there and it had the reverse effect. Now that's stupid. That's dumb. Scratch what I just said. The last 5 minutes.
Using quite a bit to slowly start building into people's consciousness that our airspace is being encroached upon by unknown
Yeah, just repeat everything Corbell and Knapp says. All right. Go ahead.
Human entities, they're calling them now. So this is all sort of, I think it's going to build up to the ETs being a threat. And, we need to come together to fight them and build weaponry and do all of this stuff to fight them. I think it's
all right, FAP, William Bridges, Bernie Muro, start building weaponry. We've got aliens that are shooting at us. They're going to FFAI. And we're just going to start building weaponry. People are. I can't listen to another breath out of this turd buckle. All right. Let's get to the moon. Shall we? No, we got more. Oh, I do have non-moon stuff to talk about. All right. I'm gonna throw this out there. Oh boy, I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this. What if we didn't go to the moon? Hear me out. Because of this reason. And I've played this before. But what if we can't go because of a firmament? Shh. What if we're encased in a bubble? You don't believe that could be a possibility? You don't think we're in a zoo? It's funny. It's funny because astronauts keep talking about how we've never ventured past Earth's orbit. And I remember going to the moon 7 times and landing there 6 times. But yet we hear astronauts of today talking about how we don't have the technology to get past the Van Allen radiation belt. Oh, how'd we do that 95 years ago? 56 years ago? 54 years ago? Whatever years ago. This is probably the reason why we can't go, and I'm going to show it to you now. Yeah, somebody explain this to me then. And then what's up in the heavens? Then why can't we leave and go to the moon? Come on, everybody. Welcome to Goof On at Midnight.
One thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth. There's no place to go.
Rockets don't have brakes. It literally stopped. All of that angular momentum from the rotation of the rocket and the linear momentum from flying up just stopped.
How'd that happen? Spinning like that, then all of a sudden, bloop, because it hit the mushy firmament. Yeah. If you believe that, I've got a bridge to sell you. No, I do. It's really little. Let me show it to you. It's only about $8. Oh, I don't have it here in the room. So I don't know how that happens. What causes that? You see, now you're getting it, FAP. Now you get, hey, by the way, fossil fuels is a lie. We don't get it from the fossils of dinosaur bones and shit like that. We get our oil from the soil, from the earth itself. Right? No, I don't know. I thought I heard that somewhere. All right. All right, let's keep moving this thermometer in the right direction. Pay attention to the monitor, folks. We're going to talk a little bit flat firmament Earth. All right, let's get it. We don't need this.
It's a long fly ball going back. And the ball shatters the sky, bringing the ocean itself down into the stadium.
See, I told you.
Simpson just broke this dream's reality wide open.
Now watch what happens when I drop in this heavy metal nut. It sinks right down to the bottom. But when I drop in this grape, which isn't quite as dense, it sinks down through the top 2 layers and sits on top of the syrup. This bottle top slowly sinks down through the oil and sits on the water, and this piece of sponge floats on the top. Pretty cool, huh? They've all got different densities. Because this syrup is denser than the water, it sinks to the bottom. Then pour in some cooking oil and leave it to settle.
We can also prove this fact of relative density by filling a balloon with approximately half helium and half air. Since helium is lighter than the oxygen, nitrogen, and other gases that compose the air around us, filling a balloon with just the right amount of helium to compensate for and balance out the density of the plastic results in a gravity-defying, levitating balloon at equilibrium that neither rises nor falls.
Following experiment simulates.
Are you excited now? I told you. All right,
The behavior ends. The sun.
Look how stupid this is. Look how they're trying to say that there's a fake flat sun. Watch how they try to duplicate what happens in the atmosphere. Watch this. I know the screen's small. Yeah. Holding a lighter up to a metal mixing bowl is the same thing as what are these called? Solar flare, sunspots, whatever these friggin' things are. Yeah, that's it. See, what flat earthers, they keep forgetting, like when they show shit like that, like that's isolated just to that cloudy area. It's not the whole planet. It's that little 150-mile area or less. Bunch of yodels over there, man. I mean, where do they come up with these things? It makes me so happy to be me sometimes. Sometimes, not all the time. It's like we're on Alien Girl with the music. All right, enough. We get it there, you yahoos. You see? That's what we're dealing with. Those types of thoughts, those types of videos, and those types of peoples. There's more. Yeah. I got to warm you up before we get there. All right? I got to warm you up. And now for something completely different. I'm going to play this video because... I'm going to do that tomorrow. We'll do that for Monday's show. I'm going to save that. I'm going to play this now. Oh, what did I do? Why is that say that? How did that happen? I was supposed to play this video of a... I'm just going to get to it. I don't know what happened. Oh, okay. I want to play this. Some people think that we're not supposed to go back to the moon either, right? They got that message, supposedly. Do not, because they're on the mountains and they're looking at us over on the mountain bridge, remember? Oh, yeah, they're big. It's like Santa Claus and his reindeer. Remember that? Something like that. They're watching us. And then they were given that mental message, right? Or something that said, don't come back to the moon. It wasn't a message. It was a vibe. Yeah, you were scared. You're on a freaking flying rock. That's the moon. Of course you're going to be a little scared. Don't tell me those 3 men, well, 2, that went on the moon were not scared. They were a little scared, right? No? They trained underwater for 6 months. Well, they trained longer than that, didn't they? Hey! Oh, we already did that one. Bernie! In case I didn't, thank you very much for the $2 super dono. I don't remember announcing this. Thank you very much, Mr. Muro. That's a big mucho gusto generoso surprise attack at the midnight show. And Dorothy, a continuing supporter of Goof on $5. Hiya, Rich and Goofonia, she says. Hanging out for a minute or two on a panel. She's on a panel right now? What show? Oh, that's great. Thank you, Dorothy. I hope you were there to hear me. And Bernie with another $1. That's just more love. That's my way. A super dono by Bernie Muro. See how that... Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And I think we did get a PayPal. But yeah, here's one. Jeanette. Well, thank you for the PayPal support. $12.30. Thank you very much. Hey, that's what time it was. Mucho gusto generoso, little lady. The angel of Goof on. Jeanette. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate the support. All right, let's get to the moon. Or can we get there? See what I did? All right, let's pull up the moon video, please. I'm waiting for the producer to do that. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. There he is. The Y-Files. So you guys know the story, basically. Can I get a little bigger picture? You know pretty much everything I'm going to go over tonight. The wires, right? Did they hang from the wires? We're going to talk about that. That's a good one. How did they pass through the Van Allen radiation belt? I'm telling you, man. All that and more. I wish I could play every freaking second of this video. It's good. But I can't. But apparently Stanley Kubrick, the guy who made 2001 A Space Odyssey, isn't that him? He did such a good job. Didn't he do that movie? He did such a good job on it that he was approached, supposedly, by the government about making, because we were years behind the Russians and everything. The Russians were the first to put Sputnik up. They put Sputnik up. They were the first to have a man in space, the first spacewalk, the first woman, the first ones to get to the moon and safely land something on it and transmit back. So they were years ahead of us. The same way China is years ahead of us with their hypersonic technology. Anyway, so, we've got to get to the moon in this decade, another decade, whatever he said, Kennedy, right? And we're going to get there before the end of this decade, and we're going to keep going there. Yeah, that's it. That's the ticket. And they did. Or did they? Yeah, a lot of people in the 70s thought, well, we didn't go. And then in the 80s, it died out. People started just getting back to their lives. And then in the 90s, the late 90s, the internet came to life and it rejuvenated the thought on whether or not we went to the moon. And Stanley Kubrick's name keeps popping up every single time because he was the only one at the time that, well, would have made the landings look, well, the way they did. Yeah, take a look. Let's just have a little fun tonight. It's Saturday at midnight right here on Goof On. The moon, did we go? Hey.
Hi.
You really like it, did you?
Hey, remember this?
Said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Oh!
Ooh, that old timer could really throw hands, huh?
He sure could. But to be fair, Sabrell had been chasing Buzz around with a camera, badgering him to swear on the Bible that the moon landing was real. Buzz begged the guy to back off, which he didn't. Finally, Sabrell called him a liar and a coward, and he got a knuckle sandwich for his trouble. So the moon landing conspiracy was back, and popping up all...
Story.
Yeah. Neil Armstrong, you mean the first man to walk on the moon?
Talk about a fish story. Man, and they're buying it.
Oh, yeah.
And when Joe Rogan started questioning the moon landing, that exposed the theory to a huge new audience.
Joe who?
Joe Rogan, comic, podcaster.
Between 1969 and 1972, they had seven attempts, 6 of them successful. That was the only time in history that
Oh, I didn't mean to hit that. Damn it. So let me just fast forward.
On July 16th, 1969, Apollo 11 launched successfully. Is multiple light sources, like you'd get on a movie soundstage. Studio lights would also explain this shot. In a vacuum with only a single light source, the shadows on the moon should be absolutely, completely black. But there's a lot of film and photos where, even though the astronauts are in shadow, they're lit extremely well. Now in the movies, the sun would be called a key light, which is your main light. And this light in the shadows would be from what's called a fill light. But there's no fill light on the moon, only a key light, the sun. There seems to be a Hollywood lighting technique happening here. Now, you're not going to find any direct evidence of studio lights in any pictures from the moon. NASA's too smart for that. But even in big budget movies, you can sometimes see the cameras and lights in reflections. Now look at this. In the reflection on the helmet, it looks like a neat row of movie lights. And look at the reflection on this photo.
What the heck is that?
That looks a lot like a studio light with the bar.
Come on. You see? You see? Now, how are we supposed to believe we went to the moon when stuff like that keeps popping up? That bothers me, man. They have excuses for everything. But how do you... They can't explain that away to me. It's not pareidolia either. Brett, pure love. Brett S. throwing down a 20 spot on the midnight special. Hey, man, thank you very much for that. I appreciate the support. Mucho gusto, generoso, midnight-so. Thanks, Brett S. It's a super dono, too. We're proud of that. Yeah, damn straight. Thanks, man. So, I don't know. If that was the only piece of evidence they had, I would be like, that's not enough proof. But you're going to be surprised by the time we're done with this show. This segment. Whoops.
Barn doors open. Now here's a photo that shows what looks like a movie prop. This rock is labeled with the letter C, but the crew forgot to remove the label when they started shooting. How about this picture of the landing module? Do those hills look like they're miles away? Or do they look like this was shot on a soundstage? And speaking of those hills, this photo was supposedly taken a few miles away from the landing module. Then how come the backgrounds are identical?
Because they used the same backdrop.
Now let's talk about stars. On Earth, even with our thick atmosphere, the sky looks like this.
So they say there were no stars to be seen. You know the excuse. I'm just going to fast forward through that a little bit. Because when you're, believe it or not, I do believe it would have been hard to see the stars on the moon. And the way they explained it in here is that, you know, like when there's a full moon and it lights up the ground here on Earth very well. You can see very well with the full moon. I can. So imagine standing on that moon with the same highly reflective surface. It's going to, you know what? Stand under a light in the street and tell me if you see the stars. You won't. Same thing. So I kind of buy that they couldn't see the stars when they were on the moon. But on the way there, my God, you would have expected us to see dozens and dozens of pictures of them taking pictures out of that one window they had of the stars. But they never did. Ever. There's no pictures of stars anywhere, which to me speaks volumes. But what do I know? I'm just me. Well, here's what they said, something about the stars, I think.
At the time that we were photographing the sonar corona, what stars we could see. I don't remember seeing any.
Small problem. They use stars to help them navigate to the moon.
The astronaut navigator finds a known star in the wide-angle telescope. Using a fingertip control, he changes the attitude of the spacecraft to bring the star into line.
Wait, hold on! Do you see how stupid they think we are? Why the F would you need stars to find your way to the moon? The moon is your way to go. Follow the moon. I'm telling you. Hey, they had to throw that in there for, you know. Oh, how come they said they didn't see it? Well, they used stars to navigate to the moon. The moon is the star. Schmohos. Well, You can see he's trying to find the star's location. They got the frickin' moon right there in front of him, just pointed at that. Oh my God, how stupid do they think we are? All right, I wrote 24 minutes. Let's go to there. This is where it gets good. You know how they faked this pair? I'll show you.
Particles can penetrate spacecraft, damage instruments, and are lethal to astronauts. But we have photos and even film of the Earth taken from much farther out. How could this be faked? Well, the astronauts never left low Earth orbit. From there, the Earth fills the entire window of the craft.
We only have one window that has a view of the Earth, and it's filled up with the TV camera. So your view now is probably better than ours is.
So to get this film of the Earth, they blocked out sections of the window. This film...
By the way, how stupid do people think we are now? How does that look like the Earth? That looks like another planet. You know what I mean? Because they're in Earth's orbit right there. For those of you who don't know, I'll play the rest of it, but you know what I mean? For those on Earth who were watching this live, and then I don't know if this piece ever made it, but it's so goofy looking.
Film is an outtake. The astronauts didn't realize they were still rolling. They said the camera was pressed up against the window to get a good shot of the Earth, but that's not true.
Right.
You can see someone pass in front of the window, then quickly jump out of the way. And here you see the dim work light that was used so they could operate the camera. We're not supposed to see this. We're also not supposed to see this. Someone adjusting the insert that controls the shape of the Earth. Now remember, they're in low Earth orbit, so the Earth is actually really bright and fills the whole window. How do we know? Because when they open up the iris of the lens, we can see it.
Good Lord. Now, there are some really good logical reasons why they would want to film every aspect of the journey to the moon. We were in a space race with Russia. We were years behind, and now all of a sudden we're going to do something that even they couldn't do. And they said couldn't be done. They filmed all of this, in my opinion, and others. I think they filmed it all just in case they didn't make it. Then what would probably happen? Wait. Oh, yeah, no. Remember that? No, I was thinking of something else. So, the whole time, it looks like they're in Earth's orbit. Never left. So maybe they were filming this, just having fun, to see if they could make it look like they were far away. Have you ever done that? Just done something just to do it, to see if it looks like you could do it? Yeah, we've all done stuff just to see. So maybe that's what they were doing. But apparently they weren't, because the play button accidentally got turned on. And I've done that many times. You click the off, but you accidentally double clicked it. Done it many times. So that's what happened. Very strange. But what if they died? What would they have had to do if they didn't show back up at home? Kill him? No. Like, I'm talking about if they faked it, if they filmed it all, because as a backup plan, in case they got killed, how would they do that during the live event? I guess there might have to be a technical error or something happened, and then they just... Because everything was done live the first time, second time, third time. They went live 24/7. And there were no cuts. It's just continual. And if that was recorded in a studio, the spools of film, they said, would have to be the size of skyscrapers. They would have to be huge to pull that off. Which is another reason why they probably went to the moon. But man, I don't see how they went all those times and nothing happened. Just that one Apollo 13, I think it was, right? Just that one voyage. They went 7, 6 landed. That's really amazing to land every time. And apparently the lander was incredibly difficult to maneuver. Well, here on Earth. Here we go.
Yeah, we can't pass through the Van Allen belts yet. Way outside low Earth orbit.
The plan that NASA has is to build a rocket called SLS, which is a heavy lift rocket. It's something that is much bigger than what we have today, and it will be able to launch the Orion capsule with humans on board, as well as landers or other components to destinations beyond Earth orbit. Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. And we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. And this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond and hopefully take humans into the solar system to explore. So the moon, Mars, asteroids, there's a lot of destinations that we could go to. And we're building these building block components in order to allow us to do that eventually.
Ice cream shots. Hey man, how you doing? Thanks for the $5. The Van Allen belt held them back. Don't know how they could have gone through it. Even Van Allen said they couldn't have. Going through the Van Allen belt, I think they said, is like getting 1 million X-rays at once. It's very deadly. And for us to go through the Van Allen belt, for those who don't know, they're about 37,000 miles out on all directions of the Earth. Oh, they explain it here, where all the sun's particles and gamma rays, X-rays, and all those rays are very dangerous. Well, the Van Allen belt is a place where it's how they're deflected around the Earth or off the Earth, and that's where it happens. And there's a lot of negative energy out there that supposedly we can't protect our astronauts in an aluminum foil tube. They need to be encased in lead somehow. So does the ship, because they say going through the Van Allen belt, they're so hot, it's so dense of radiation and all that shit that the electronics will get messed up. That's what they say. I wonder if they ever sent anything out there. Well, why don't they send stuff out there? And I never heard of Van Allen tests. Ice cream shots, thank you very much for the $5 comment. I know. Van Allen, they named it after the guy. Thank you, Van.
Once we travel beyond low Earth orbit, the crew will be exposed to larger amounts of radiation. So we have to design both the crew protection systems and our electronic systems to withstand this radiation.
But didn't we already design those protection systems for Apollo? Why don't we just use that technology?
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
Wait, we destroyed the technology and we can't recreate it? So nobody wrote anything down? That seems irresponsible.
Oh, you mean irresponsible, like recording over the original moon landing tapes?
Yeah, NASA did that. There are no original high-quality moon landing tapes. They were erased and reused.
Allegedly.
The footage we see of the moon landing was taken in a very...
How stupid do they think we really are? Another stupid comment. Do you really believe that these guys taped over the moon landings? Really? I know what the excuse was. I remember hearing it. NASA, because of funding, reused a lot of their stuff, a lot of their film. And just when they were done with it, they just used it over. Save money, I guess. But you go to the moon and record it all, or whatever, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
Strange way. NASA took a video feed from the moon and projected it onto a screen. Then TV stations pointed their cameras at the screen. The stations wanted a direct feed, but NASA refused. That's why the moon landing footage is such a mess.
Oh, that's right. Let me replay that. Listen to this.
They were erased and reused.
Allegedly.
The footage we see of the moon landing was taken in a very strange way. NASA took a video feed from the moon and projected it onto a screen. Then TV stations pointed their cameras at the screen. The stations wanted a direct feed, but NASA refused. That's why the moon landing footage is such a mess. Anyway, the best way to protect a fragile human body from Van Allen radiation is lead shielding. But even a thin layer of lead would have made the Saturn V rocket too heavy to get off the ground.
All right. Does that make sense to anybody? Why wouldn't NASA want the clearest possible picture going out to the public? Does that make sense to anybody? You see why there's so many problems with, did we go to the moon? There's so many problems. So many.
The only protection they had was a thin sheet of aluminum. But aluminum melts at about 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. The electrons in the Van Allen belts have energies of millions of volts. Now this would equate to a temperature of about 10 million degrees Kelvin. So how did NASA overcome this problem? They didn't. Instead, they called Hollywood.
Oh!
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
I like how he said we want to land a man on the moon and return him safely. I'm so happy they threw that in there, because a lot of people always talk about, did we land on the moon and we brought them back, which is also another great feat and an accomplishment on itself. Right? To come through the atmosphere all those times, 7 times. Amazing.
No single space project in this period will be more impressive to mankind or more important for the long-range exploration of space.
But right now, we need a 10 to 12-year program that has as its ultimate goal the man domination of space. And if we don't, we're going to be in trouble.
To put people on the moon
Werner von Braun,
with enough fuel to enable them to return safely home to Earth,
wasn't that him?
Requires a still larger and more powerful rocket, however.
A member of Congress said today that...
All right, we get it. All right, here we go. Let's move up a little in this. Secrets hidden in the films. All right. When he made The Shining, it was said that he put little Easter eggs in the movie to throw hints at the audience that he was responsible for the moon landing video. Like, the kid in the movie stands up and he's wearing an Apollo 11 shirt. And then the door number, the key that goes into one of the rooms is 237. And in the book, I think it was 219, but they changed it to 237 because the moon is relatively 237,000 miles from the Earth. You'll see.
When someone in the Pentagon saw his 1963 film, Dr. Strangelove, impressed by the special effects, this person offered Kubrick a secret project.
The American Communist Party may have been one of the avenues pursued by the government to get Stanley to cooperate.
A reflectivity, a material used for screens in movie theaters.
Hold on.
Scotchlight is
this is interesting right here.
Experimentation with front screen projection began in 1949, shortly after the invention of Scotchlight. a material used for screens in movie theaters. Scotchlite is cloth embedded with millions of tiny glass beads that have high reflectivity. Due to the sensitivity of Scotchlite, a minimal amount of light is required. This means that actors can stand in front of the projection without it being visible on their bodies or clothing. Front screen projection was so convincing that many people think the Dawn of Man sequences in 2001 were actually shot on location. They weren't. Almost all that part of 2001 was shot in a studio with actors on sets. If you look closely at Apollo photographs of the moon, you can see a line where the fake moon set ends and the front projection screen begins. At that line, the texture of the lunar surface changes dramatically.
Please note how everything is in focus, from the rocks and pebbles close to the camera, all the way to the crystal clear mountain behind the astronaut. There is a stark difference in ground texture between the set and what is being projected onto the screen. You can almost count the number of small rocks and the granularity of the ground that is clearly seen on the set. Once we get to the screen on the other side of my line, this granularity disappears. The little pebbles and dust just seem to disappear behind my line.
I've played so much, I don't know how I'm going to get to, I'm just going to have to play it. Because now the remaining portion, all the claims that he's making here are going to be somewhat explained. But let me show you here. Kubrick, I'll tell you. See this here? Kubrick put the rug, that is in The Shining. That is supposed to be the launch pad of Apollo. There's the shirt, Apollo 11, that the kid was wearing. And then the room key, 237, and the moon.
Hear it from his own mouth, but he never said a word about it. Or did he?
Did Stanley Kubrick ever talk about this? Now check this out.
We've been brought in here by Stanley Kubrick to more or less ensure the scientific integrity of the film, to make sure that it's very, very close in reality, but still we want to make certain that it has a base of reality.
We're in the final assembly building of the LEM. Stanley Kubrick and I have set ourselves several objectives. We hope to convey to the public the wonder and beauty and promise
we hit 100.
Of the new age of exploration which is opening up before the human race.
Take one.
It's one small step for man, one
giant leap for mankind.
Good evening.
Oh.
I'm sorry not to be able to be with you tonight.
Oh no.
In 2016, an interview with Stanley Kubrick was found. And according to the video, Kubrick had to sign an 88-page non-disclosure agreement that the interview would stay hidden for 15 years.
Is everything looking in order regarding our contract and the 15-year agreement, and I signed the non-disclosure? That's all for the legal stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks good to me.
All right.
A documentary filmmaker interviews Stanley Kubrick about his career as a director. And right from the start, Kubrick interrupts and explains that when he initially considered the project, he saw it as just another film. When asked which of his
Yeah, and then when asked which of his movies was the best to work on, he said, well, the best movie was da-da-da-da-da. And then before I know it, he's talking about the moon. And the guy goes, I'm sorry, Stanley, what movie is this? He's like, the moon landing. Here, listen. I can't play every single second, that's why.
I don't know what you're talking about. You're referring to something...
The moon, the fake moon landing.
There.
He says that he was approached by NASA and that they appealed to his sense of duty and patriotism. But Kubrick admitted that the project was about America's public image and upstaging Russia.
To fulfill this dream that America has had as a country since the Kennedy years.
Okay, so you're saying the motivation was PR?
PR, absolutely. Plain and simple. PR.
Then he goes on to confirm that the conspiracy is actually the truth.
Faking the exploration of space because there was just no way we could get there.
NASA then set up a meeting with Kubrick and President Richard Nixon. Kubrick met with Nixon in the Oval Office and details what Nixon asked him to do: film a fake moon landing.
I am convinced, and the gentleman...
Right? It's fake. Is that really Stanley Kubrick?
World had been waiting for. This was evidence that every allegation made in the documentary Kubrick's Odyssey was true.
Yep.
Millions of people saw this interview and finally felt justified in their suspicion that the moon landing never happened.
Yep.
One small problem.
No.
That wasn't Stanley Kubrick.
No.
The Stanley Kubrick moon landing confession set the conspiracy side of the internet on fire, but it was a hoax. This is either a filmmaker and an actor, or more likely, two guys goofing around. In the full-length version of the interview, an agitated...
That pisses me off. That is so frustrating. Well, they talked about he talks about a lot of different things. I'll show you this here. How there were cursors that were on the camera, like you see these here. And for some reason, some of these cursors show up behind objects, which means that they were added in later. But here you can see the line right there. And they're saying, the original green screen is back there and how it's all detailed up here. Yeah, it is. It looks like it's faked. Sure does. It sure as hell does.
All the other claims in the documentary that refer to photos can be explained simply by looking at the originals. As far as the clues left in The Shining, those are nothing but coincidences and stretches of the imagination. The rockets in the tapestry, I don't really see it. The hexagonal rug? Well, the launch pad at Cape Canaveral is not a hexagon. It was roughly 10 sides, but it's not very symmetrical. Room 237 is just room 237. The moon isn't 237,000 miles away from the Earth. It's closer to 239,000, but varies slightly. Danny is indeed wearing an Apollo 11 sweater. But Stanley Kubrick was a space nut. He loved the Apollo program, and he loved sci-fi. And Stanley Kubrick's brother Paul, who was the leader of the Communist Party, well, that's not true at all. Kubrick didn't have a brother. So that documentary is debunked.
Well, maybe debunked, maybe not.
No, it's debunked. It is.
Yeah, agree to disagree.
There's so many holes in the lies.
Verge and what's called...
There's just so many lies. Yeah, this is an important piece of the puzzle right here. So I'll play this.
Parallel. But when we put our back to the sun...
The shadows. People were saying that...
From the side...
I did a test and put it on Facebook. But you know how they were saying the shadows don't line up correctly? You got one here, but why is this shadow this way and this one straight when there's da-da-da-da-da? I mean, there's got to be more than one light source, right? Yeah, no, not really. I did a test with the sun, and because there was one was a post that I got the shadow from, and the other shadow was from the corner of a building. Well, the corner of the building one went off in a different direction than the pole shadow. I couldn't understand it, but I was trying to prove it back then that shadows aren't necessarily going to be lined up parallel to one another. You got to consider a lot of different things: atmosphere, angle, height, width. All right, let's go.
perspective of the viewer. Now here's an example on Earth. These are two pictures of the same woman, taken at different angles. In the first photo, taken from the side, the shadows are parallel. But when we put our back to the sun, the shadows aren't even close to parallel. In perspective drawing and design, parallel lines converge in what's called a vanishing point. This is typically the horizon line where objects vanish beyond our field of view. Plus, the astronauts used very wide lenses to capture as much terrain as possible. So images are going to be slightly distorted, like a carnival mirror. But even with a flatter lens, or the human eye, shadows are not parallel. Also, multiple light sources would cast multiple shadows, but the objects on the moon cast only one shadow.
Yeah, but everything in the shadow's supposed to be black because there's no light getting there.
Sure there is.
No, there isn't.
There is.
Agree to disagree.
The ambient light, or the fill light, is the moon itself. The soil on the surface of the moon is full of tiny beads of glass and metal like aluminum and titanium. These are all highly reflective materials.
Ah, so that's the filler light. Okay, got it. What's this, snow?
Blindness. So shadows and multiple light sources, that's all debunked. Now, the same background theory might be my favorite because it really defies explanation.
Aha!
Until we look more closely.
Oh.
The backgrounds do not line up perfectly. They're slightly off because the photos were taken pretty far apart. The hills in the distance look the same because they're the same. Those hills are miles away. But since there's no atmosphere on the moon... Well, since there's no water vapor on the moon... Okay, there's an atmosphere on the moon, but it's extremely thin compared to the Earth. It's called an exosphere, and it's made up of very small amounts of hydrogen, helium, and a few trace...
Oh, I love this example. Yeah, so what happens is that it's an illusion. It looks like they're a lot further away, but because of that atmospheric anomaly not being available on the moon as it is here on the Earth, well, on the moon you don't have the same depth perception, I guess. Don't know why that is, but...
gases. And because there's no atmosphere, there's no haze. We evolved on Earth with a thick atmosphere. And one of the ways we determine distant objects is by how hazy they are. In other words, how much of the atmosphere are we looking through? Now, on the moon, without haze, objects both near and far will feel close. It's an...
All right, that's interesting. I guess so.
Optical illusion.
Yeah, but where are the stars?
Right. The stars are...
Yeah, we know about the stars. We explained all that. I want to know about the wires. Where's the wire explanation?
Aluminum rods are pretty springy, so the flag moves for quite a while after it's touched. But when it settles down, it doesn't move an inch. Oh, the camera that recorded the lunar module separating?
Yeah.
That was operated remotely. The footprints don't match because the astronauts put on boot covers that have a different tread.
Oh.
The temperatures are hot on the moon, but without an atmosphere to conduct heat, there's no convection. As long as things are colored bright white, they reflect most of the sun's energy pretty well. Heat wasn't an issue. Not for the astronauts and not for the camera film. Now, there are many more examples, but I think...
Lunar Orbiter Project at NASA on Langley Field. I was taken into the laboratory where the equipment was malfunctioning. I couldn't repair it in the dark. I asked to have it removed. A airman second class was in the dark room at that time. I was also an airman second class. About 30 minutes into the process, he said to me, in a very distressed way, by the way, we've discovered a base on the backside of the moon.
You know, that's a whistleblower, what we're hearing. That was at Greer's NPC in 2001. That's a real whistleblower. He saw the images. It's not like Grush saying, oh yeah, I heard that guy tell that story in Greer's NPC. Yeah, you know what? There's a base on the moon. And that's what Grush is doing. Oh, yeah, I heard this guy. Well, it must be real. Big cover up. It is pretty cool, though. The wire stuff I skipped over by accident. I don't know why. It's right here. It was right after I did this. Skipped over it, I believe. But it is interesting. Is that Bob Lazar? Oh, it's Paul Lazarus. You know, the funny thing about them being pulled up on the wires and it looks like they really are being yanked, I gotta find this piece because it really looks like there's wires. And you could see the actual reflection of the wire many feet above the astronaut's head. So if that's not a reflection of a wire lifting him up, then why is it there and why does it look like a wire reflecting the moon or the light source? It's very, 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 very confusing. And then you can go back to what I said earlier and that they did record them on the moon. Yeah, in a studio. They sure as hell did, in case they died. So what I think they would have done if they died, they had this footage that looked like they were on the moon, and then they just crashed the shit into the atmosphere, and that's that. Then they come home safely to their families, and they get new IDs, and then they go work somewhere else or stay retired for the rest of their lives in the Great Smoky Mountains. But that didn't happen, did it? I am looking for wires. Here we go. Let's see. It's got to be around here, I remember. I talked about the shadows, the key lights, the reflections, the stars. They lost all the data. How do you lose the biggest achievement other than the pyramids in man history? Right? Man history. Did you hear how I said it? Here we go. I found it. All right, check this out. Tell me they're not on wires. Well, don't, but you'll see.
Does this look natural? Or does it look like he's being lifted by wires?
Watch.
Houston, Apollo 11, are you ready? Apollo 11, this is Houston. Go ahead.
LEM looks to be in pretty fine shape. About all we can see from here.
Okay, in reference to your question on this step...
See what I mean?
Decal,
see?
I understand that you have used up the contents of the repressed O2 package, and at that time...
Watch. Come on, what is that?
Then there's this footage of Neil and Buzz putting up the American flag. But if they were both on the moon's surface, who's shooting the footage? And how is the flag waving if there's no atmosphere on the moon? Now,
well, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. That's most of the popular problems with why they think we didn't go to the moon. And, you know, I'd love to play, more videos and stuff, but this has been talked about. You know, I just wanted to talk about it because I thought it was interesting that it was being discussed the other night. And then I started thinking about it and I'm like, I don't really know. I don't know if we went. 6 times they landed on the moon and brought them back. And nobody got radiation sickness, right? Nobody that we know of died from extreme cancerous diseases or anything by going through the Van Allen radiation belt. How can they? And now the astronauts are talking, today's astronauts, like, we've never been to the moon. And then you have to really start to think, isn't it convenient how the Earth keeps us here? How we can't leave? What if we can't? And that Van Allen radiation belt is the last defense. And if you or any of us try to go through that thing, will get roasted. So you want to send a colony on a Battlestar Galactica to go through the interstellar space looking for aliens and staying on a voyage just like that? Good luck getting through the Van Allen radiation belt. I know, if we were to build a Battlestar Galactica type ship, can you imagine? It would be protected, but the power source on that thing, dilithium crystals or not, Madonna mia, that thing's moving a skyscraper. And then what about all the food? Where do they get all the food? Right? How do you feed all those people? Yeah. What? Yeah. Hydroponics. I know. I have my own grow kit to grow weed. I can't figure out how to put it together. I tried every way till Sunday. I've been trying. I just gave up. And now I got to have Roto-Rooter come out Monday. I'm getting new toilet bowl. Well, 2 toilet bowls. I'm going to redo the bathroom. The other one, oh man, I can't wait. I can't wait to get on that new throne. All right. So what else? You know, we talked about, did we go to the moon? Yes or no? I'm going to say no. I don't think we went. Couple reasons. I don't like it that none of the people, Edgar Mitchell, Buzz Aldrin, none of those guys they wouldn't put their hand on the Bible and just swear it. Just swear I went to the moon. Why wouldn't they do that? I know they don't have. Look, at that time it was a big conspiracy, and it was a really hot topic when the internet was kind of new. I just don't understand why he just couldn't have done it. The way Edgar Mitchell got in the cameraman's face, they were doing an interview with Bart, and then he kicks him out of his house. And then he gets in his camera, puts his nose on the lens. You can see the grease spot on the lens. He got all in his, he just went apeshit. It's like, wow, why are these guys tripping out? Just because Bart Sabrella is asking them to put their hand on the Bible and swear they went to the moon. If I did that, I'd be like, yeah, here you go. I went. There. But there's something else going on. And not only do I think that we didn't go to the moon, to say we lost the data just adds fuel to that fire. Right? Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. We have current sites showing equipment we left behind. Sure, I get it. I know. I did valid research, Tom. See, this is the problem. You're not allowed to have an opinion, right? You're not allowed to have an opinion. Like, they couldn't have faked those pictures either. You know? Oh, you mean to tell me we can barely make it anywhere without something blowing up? And here we are sending up astronaut after astronaut after astronaut when we were supposedly years behind Russia. Russia doesn't think we went to the moon to this day. I love when they say, like, Tom is basing everything on one picture, the landing site. Like, that couldn't be faked either. I mean, come on, don't be so gullible. I just don't think we went. It's my opinion. 6 months ago, I thought we did go. And my reasoning thinking that we did go was because it was done live. And if it was recorded and shown as live, like I said, there would be a huge spools of film. So my opinion isn't fact, it's an opinion. And I just don't think we went. And I'm probably wrong, because think about it. How many people worked on that? 100,000 people? If it was fake, then all those things were just bullshit. All those people's jobs were just fake. They were just doing nothing. See, I understand why people get upset when people say they don't think we went to the moon. I just showed what looks like, to me, definite proof of wires pulling the astronauts up. Right? To me, that is critical evidence. Why are there wires on the moon? And then there were other problems with the rover they were using. Right. There was a lot of problems with the rover. And then they were driving it backwards, filming it as if they were going forwards, and they just reversed the film or something like that. Because it got damaged, I think, or the tires. I can't remember exactly what happened, but that was another bullshit story. And then why were they filming the Earth in orbit, making it look like they were halfway to the moon? Why would they do that? No reason to do that. Just joking about that isn't even cool. If they were putting the camera up there, hey, if you put the camera up there, it looks like we're halfway to the moon. That's not what was happening. That, to me, is a little strange. So let's say we did go to the moon. Explain the wires to me. Explain that footage. I know. Everybody's got an answer, and everybody's right, and everybody's wrong. The only people who know are the people who actually went to the moon. And people who think I don't know. It's controversial. That's why the topic, I wanted to talk about it, because I knew it would be controversial. And it is to this day. There's a lot of problems with the moon and going there. They didn't see any stars the whole way there or back. Come on. Yeah. What is this? Whistleblowers caught lying. Let me get off this here and we'll get out of here. Let me see what this is. Oh, wow. What is this? Jesse Marcel Jr. testimony on Roswell? Hold on. I got to see what this is. I don't know why I took this here. Lying? I don't understand.
Hey guys here. I know that you believe that's from an extraterrestrial source, but can you say honestly to this committee that you know that for some reason?
Years ago, I was called to Washington. I was going to a meeting, and there was a gentleman by the name of Dick D'Amato who wanted to interview me when I got to Washington. And he was in the Capitol building, Senate Room 228, I believe, if I remember right. But he said he wanted to talk to me about what I saw in Roswell. So I went up to the Capitol building, and very friendly, very nice gentleman. He says, we want to talk about what you saw in Roswell. And he asked me, did I want to talk in a secure room? And I said, well, sir, I'm not going to say anything I haven't said publicly already. He says, but I might tell you something. And so we'll talk in a secure room. So we went down into the basements, several floors down below in the Capitol building. And there was this beautiful meeting room there with a big table there with the pictures of our founding fathers across the overhead there. And this is the first time somebody in the inner sanctions of our government admitted to me that this is not fiction, the Roswell. And I said, I know it isn't. So when are you guys going to tell the public about this? And he said, well, if it was up to me, I'd have done it yesterday. But he says it's not up to me. I'm just here to investigate the cost of the investigation, cost of keeping it secret and all that. He said, in reality, there is, and these are his words, that there's a black government, which sounds really conspiratorial, but that's what he said. He said they have control of the debris, and they answer to no one, they're not elected, and they have unlimited funds to spend. And he said they're the ones who have it, and they have control over it. So you can tell me what that meant, but that's what he said.
Wow. All right. That little piece of history is extremely important to what's going on right now today, because Roswell's been brought up again. And a lot of people think that Arrow should be disclosing Roswell to us. And I don't think that's a bad idea. I think we should know what happened 76 years ago or something. Man alive, that's a long time ago to keep a secret, It's almost 100 years. But it's a whole lifetime. But what he just said, that's exactly where that stuff went. It's gone. We'll never see it again, probably. But they've got unlimited funds in a black budget program. That's amazing. That was good. Oh, man. What is this? Elgin Air Force Base admits to UFO briefing? What is this about? I'm pulling it up here. Let's see. Elgin Air Force Base has issued a statement about the UAP flap. Burchett and Luna, not being members of a congressional defense committee, did not possess the access required to join the portion of the discussion reserved for Representative Getz. Wow. So, that's funny. That's from Metamaterial at Meta Studio Logic. Huh. So, they're not members of a congressional defense committee, so they don't have access required to join the discussion reserved for Representative Getz. Is that Matt Getz? Is that his name? That's stupid. I guess you can't trust everybody to listen in on this stuff. They're not going to say anything. All right, I've got something here. This is a learning. This should be a learning exercise. This should be GoofOn's learning. Let's get this guy up. I should try to get him on the show. That's what I need to do. Let's listen to a little bit of bullshitta.
There will always, for a time, be those who will not like what you have to say, who will not allow you to be you. You know why? Because when you are being you as fully as you can, you are a constant reminder to those who are not being themselves that they are not being themselves, and they don't like being reminded of that.
I can't believe what he just said. That's amazing to me. I said that probably when I was 11 years old. The reason I remember, because I was on a school bus, first time in Arizona, not first time, but first year I ever had to take a bus. And I don't know, I was being me, and one of the kids goes, "You're so weird. You say weird stuff." And I said, "No, I'm just saying what you wanted to say, but you don't have the balls to say it." That kind of conversation happened. I remember it very clearly. So, well, I'm not afraid of being me. You're afraid of being you. Well, if being you, I don't want to look weird then. It's okay. I'm confident. I feel fine being me. And Bashir is right. Bashar, whatever. He's right. People are angry that they can't be themselves. They don't know how. People don't know how to be themselves. He's right. It's one of the reasons Yeah, no, I'm not going to say that. But I just thought that was a little weird to hear that, because it hit me right where I live. Because my whole life, that's all I've ever heard. You're so weird. You're so weird. And I never thought I was weird. I always said what was on my mind, what people were thinking. And I don't understand why, if you're thinking it, why didn't you say it? Right? You don't have the guts. Don't get mad at me because I said something or thought something out loud that you were thinking and didn't get credit for. Don't get mad at me for being that guy. There's all sorts of people out there. Not everybody can be the center of attention, nor does everybody want to be the center of attention. And that's not necessarily what Bashar means. Be yourself, no matter what anybody tells you. Who gives a shit what people think? I love that message. I want to hear what the alien man has to say now.
I got it.
You understand?
I do, yes.
But that is the greatest service you can actually provide them, because at least by example, you're giving them an opportunity to see through you that they could choose to be more fully themselves, even if they don't choose to.
Well,
by not being yourself, you are removing that opportunity from them. You are only reinforcing their choice to be afraid to be themselves. So at first they may rebel against seeing an example, because by coming from a negative state, they only see the idea in a negative way. In other words, they're saying, "You're rubbing my nose in what it is I am too afraid to do, and I resent you for that." Good impression, yes?
Right? I like how he breaks character right there. So real. Yeah, like the alien's gonna go, "That was a good impression, wasn't it?" Back to my act. But I don't know why I want to talk about that, but now I forgot what I was going to say. I have to hear what he said again.
"You're rubbing my nose in what it is I am too afraid to do, and I..."
Right. People think that, you're rubbing their nose in it or something. This is why people like going to comedy shows. Do you know that's why? And I like being the comic because I say the stuff that you can't say or don't want to say or for whatever reason can't say. Some people have huge reputations and can't be that person. I'm not saying to speak your mind at every single thing, but you know what I'm talking about. You go to see a comedian because they make you laugh. And they also, if they're a good comedian, it's something you can relate to. Right? And when we can relate, there's an understanding. And you see, here's the problem I'm having with ufology. I don't relate to what's being done. I just don't relate to the tactics that I'm seeing. I don't relate to that side of ufology at all. And we may or may not have gone to the moon. I don't know. But that's it for tonight. Let's get the hell out of here. I can't keep going on till 2 a.m. Are you kidding? I could if I wanted to, but let's go. We'll get out of here. We'll call it a night. And hey, thank you for hanging out. You know, it was a little weird show. I get it. You know, for me, this is therapy. So I thank you for going through a little bit of therapy with me tonight. I needed it. I wanted to just talk about the moon. It's fun to talk about. Throw it out. Oh, did I? Shit. Damn it. Bernie, I'm sorry. I didn't see it. I forgot. Thank you very much. Oh, I did get that one. Yeah, thank you very much, Bernie. And Brett, go and have a good long chat with Joe, Rich. Oh, Brett, thank you very much. Appreciate this. Another $10 from Brett. And then you threw down another 10. As we go through school, students are not taught budgets, have limits placed on them. You know, yeah, hold on. I'm not leaving yet. Hold on. That's interesting. We need to teach I believe, to teach kids on how to balance their budget, how to manage money. That would be a great thing to have learned in school, right? But back when we went to school, parents did all that stuff. I was always one. I thought that should have been done in school. It's true. And what else? How to search for apartments, how to fill out applications, how to do taxes. If they would have taught us all that stuff in school, think about it. You could have been that much more successful had you not been intimidated. Had you been more yourself. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Thank you, Bernie. Brett. I just saw Bernie's next one. Thank you, Brett. Huge, man. I can't thank you enough. I think you threw down 40 or 50 bucks, dude. Thank you. Unbelievable. And Bernie, there you are. And a mucho gusto to you too, my friend. You threw down quite a few dollars as well. Thank you for that. And all love. Mucho gusto generoso. On the love. Yeah, you guys are unbelievable. Thank you very much. I wish Richard Hoagland was around. Is he still alive? I would love to get him on the show. Huh. I would love to. That would have been great. All right. Thank you guys again. We'll be back Monday. Tomorrow, probably not doing a show. I don't know. You never know. But thank you very much for hanging out tonight. Moderators, super chatters, excellent. The best. And newcomers and veterans. And we do this truthology for ufology. I don't know if Tom C. will think that, but, you know, it's just an opinion. All right. Take care, everybody. Be safe. Be kind. Alien blessed.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. God have mercy on your soul.
Warning. Control life. Warning. Warning. Failure. Control life. Warning.
Unidentified flying object.